Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Alan with another broadcast of the Morlock Morning Digest. We're going to jump right into this one, guys. I had a subscriber, April Holt, ask me to talk about why I woke up, why I see the world the way I see it, right? Now, I want to talk about my great-grandmother. She was born in 1908, all right? She died right around 2009-ish, okay? And honestly, I don't think anybody impacted my life more than this woman. She literally saw the world change from the Industrial Revolution to the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, the first plane, the first man on the moon, the first car, 9/11, etc., etc., etc. Right? She used to watch me every morning before I would go to school and every afternoon when I get home from school, from preschool to about second grade. Okay. Now, me and her used to watch Sports Center as well as 30/30 together quite a bit. And I really look back on that with fond memories. But this was one of the forming moments of my life as a young child. We were watching an episode of 30/30 about Bill Buckner. And anybody that knows anything about baseball, he let a ground ball go through his legs on first base that cost the Red Sox the World Series. And they're asking Roger Clemens what it was like to experience that firsthand. And during that interview, he tells the journalist that it was like being a child on Christmas morning, finding out that Santa Claus wasn't real all over again. I look right from the TV and I start staring at my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother turns to me, and I can't remember exactly what she said at the time, but more or less, the point she was getting across is, not everything in the world is as though it appears. People lie to you. They have reasons for doing it, and most of the time it's about control. Now, she had a very good way of explaining that to where I understood that at that age. I knew what she was trying to tell me, and I always remembered that moving forward. All right, now with that in mind, we're going to talk about another very formative moment in my life. When I was younger, I was molested by a family member. And this reinforced to me, I'm not going to call out the person that it was. They know who they are. I've only told one person in my family about this. If anybody in my family's watching it, understand I have no reason to lie about this at all, okay? It does nothing but add drama that doesn't need to exist. So just understand that it happened, and that's all that's important here. Now, with that being said, it confirmed to me over and over again throughout my life, this was just the first encounter of it, that even those in your family who you should trust the most are not trustworthy. And even though at the time I didn't understand what was going on is wrong, when I did come to grips with the fact that this was wrong, and that not only was it wrong, but it completely broke my perception of what a proper sexual mind should be, right? I realized I can't even trust my family, okay? And I didn't come to grips with that for a very, very long time. But even though I didn't come to terms with it, it definitely formed that foundation at a very young age, all right? I subconsciously knew that back then. Something else I want you guys to know about my life is my dad is a narcissist through and through. Cares about his ego. It's all he really cares about. Very, very manipulative. Although I did not go through a lot of physical abuse as a child outside of being molested, right? It was all mental. I would rather deal with getting my ass beat on a day-to-day basis than deal with what I had to deal with my father. Okay? And this is still constantly going on. I stopped my relationship with my father to eliminate this kind of event from happening over and over again, because constantly he manipulated me into doing what he wanted me to do, and it took a long time for me to break that cycle and no longer be held captive by it. Because that's what's happening when somebody does that to you, is they are holding you captive, right? They are playing off of your emotions in order to hold you spiritually and mentally captive to them, okay? And as I've talked about in a lot of videos previous to this, manipulation of the reality around you is one of the greatest gifts as well as the greatest curses in this world, all right? And that right there formed a huge divide for me when it comes to how most people see the world and how I see the world. I see the world through the lenses of my father, all right? Everybody that I meet, in my mind, has the potential to be manipulating me like my father did. And because I experienced that on a day in and day out basis throughout my life, why would I expect anybody to act differently? This was put in my head as a normal way of behaving. And I myself behaved like this for a very, very long time. I didn't all of a sudden, I haven't always thought like this, okay? I woke up not too long ago. I always had a very high intelligence, right? But at the same time, I myself was a narcissist until I was about 28 years old. 4 years ago, not even 2 years ago. And I'm fully willing to admit that because I was a product of my environment, all right? Funnily enough, it took one of the most outlandish theories in the world to bring me back to a firm grounding again, okay? Now, there was a lot of darkness in my life, all right? I got away from my father for reasons that I don't really want to talk about on this channel. But let's just say he did things that no man should do, and they weren't to me. I want to get that clear based on what we talked about earlier. My father never physically abused me in any way, shape, or form. All right, but I had to get away from my father because I was broken. All right, and my father was very strict. Always wanted to know what I was doing, etc., 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 right? And once I managed to leave his household and move back in with my mom when I was 18, I all of a sudden had more freedom than I had ever had previously. And I was in a very bad place mentally, right? I became addicted to opiates, all right? I was doing Percocets like you wouldn't believe. I was spending more money than most people have ever seen at that age on drugs than I care to admit. And like I said, I was broken by everything around me. All my experiences in life told me that this world was out to get you and there is no way around that. So I will fully admit to you guys right now, I've almost ended it on more than one occasion. I have literally had a loaded gun in my hand, held to my head. I don't know what stopped me, but something did. Alright? And I definitely know for a fact I'm here for a reason, because not only have I been at that point in my life, but I've seen friends die doing the same exact thing I did on a day-to-day basis. And I shouldn't be here right now. And I wonder sometimes why I am. Why wasn't it me? And why was it them, right? But there is no growth in this world without challenge. Okay? I want you guys to understand you might have lived one of the most miserable lives in the world, right? But at the end of the day, that builds strength and that builds character. But you have to see the truth for yourself. I can't give it to you. As much as I'd like to, I can't. You have to see it for yourself. Now, even though I knew the world was lying to me, right? Even though I knew 9/11 was an inside job, even though I knew all of this stuff, I didn't know what I needed to know to be free, to finally wake up spiritually, to understand why I was put here. And as I said before, it was one of the most outlandish theories in the world that did it to me, man. And I don't know how, but I'm grateful. Because God whoever or whatever God is answered my prayers. I asked to be shown the answer to everything, and I was given that answer. I just had to see it for myself. You're asking yourselves, what is that? When you realize that you live in a building, and by definition, a building has to have a creator, right? And you apply that logic to the reality around you, you wake up to the realization that by definition, you have a creator. Flat Earth was the answer for me. When I realized that we lived in a building and there was a creator, it opened up a whole new world of possibilities for me, because I was finally given the answer. I had to see it for myself. I had to find what it was that would reveal all of this truth to me. And it was the simple realization that if we live in a building, then there is a creator, and ultimately, I am in existence because that creator created me. I may not know how, I may not know why, but for the first time in my life, I knew that there was something that I was beholden to, that there was a purpose for me being here. And that purpose wasn't to be manipulated by the world around me. That purpose wasn't to be beholden to the man that literally ruled over my life through manipulation until the time I was 18. It made me realize that even though I look in the mirror and see that man, I am not him. And once that became clear to me, it opened up a whole new world of possibilities. I started questioning everything. I started truly believing no man, right? You can know how to act. You can know all of this stuff, but until you start living it, you truly know nothing. That is how I woke up. I know that this may not help very much at all, but I think it's important for you guys to understand the man that you see behind this camera every day. I by no means am perfect. I have done things in my life that I'm not proud about by any means. But I'm here. And I speak the truth now as often as I can. And that's all I can do. I am not here to be anybody's savior. I'm not here to change the world, even though I may. I am here for a purpose I may not understand, and by all means I know I don't understand, but I know there is a purpose. That is how I woke up. This video was extremely hard for me to make. I appreciate the interest, and I hope this gave you the answers that you wanted. God bless. Have a great day.